Going pro is an aspiration many young triathletes and top age groupers aim for, but they don't always have a clear idea of what that actually looks like. Today, by looking at our own experiences and those of a special guest, we're going to help you understand what going pro actually means and what it takes to get there. If you didn't know, Mark and I were both pro triathletes in our former lives. We both came to the sport from different directions. We both had different experiences, but we both experienced the sometimes harsh realities of being a pro. And joining us a bit later, we have someone who's on the other end of the journey, just starting out as a pro. 2024 will be Steph Clutterbuck's first year as a pro, her rookie season, as they say in America.
Yeah, now there are probably as many routes to becoming a pro as there are pros out there. So unfortunately, we are not going to be able to paint you the perfect picture as to how you embark on that journey, become a pro. And obviously a lot of that depends on your situation. But later, we will be sharing some performance benchmarks that you perhaps could aim for and some practical tips as to how you could also embark upon that journey. Now, make no mistake, becoming a pro athlete isn't just one good race, getting your pro card, landing a sponsorship deal, and voila, you have made it.
Yeah, so let's start by taking a look back at our own personal journeys. I knew pretty much immediately that I wanted to be a pro. It wasn't about the money and chasing money, it was more the challenge. It was that balance of being very difficult, but also actually possible. I'd been a runner since I was very young, and the dream of being world class at that sport was slipping from possible to very difficult to maybe even impossible at that point. And then at university, I tried a duathlon at the age of 21, and then I did a sprint triathlon, which I really enjoyed and was challenging, and then I did an Olympic distance triathlon and then a half Ironman. And it was that balance of, it's very difficult and very challenging, but I can actually see the pathway to success. Fast forward a few years, and in 2007, at the age of 24, I did my first Ironman at Ironman South Africa. In fact, I raced as a pro because at that point there was no real entry criteria to be a pro, and I was given it because I'd finished top 3.5 distance earlier that year. I wouldn't even call myself a pro at that point, even though I started in the pro wave. But from there, the pathway to success was much more clear. I could improve this and this and this, and I could actually make it. My dream became to be a pro triathlete, and my life revolved around this. I slowly cut down my work hours and increased my training hours, and I got fitter and fitter. And a year later, self-coached, I finished top 10 at Ironman South Africa. And then a kind of sliding doors moment happened for me. I was put in contact with Brett Sutton and Team TBB and was offered a tryout for Team TBB in the Philippines. I absolutely couldn't afford to even get to the Philippines at that point, but luckily a few generous triathletes who know who they are supported me and paid for that trip. And at the end of that camp, I was offered a contract, a full $7,000 for the following year for 2009 and a Cervelo bike frame. I had made it. Seriously, that was it. I'd made it. That was as good as it got, really, in 2008. I then went off chasing prize money, and I actually made some. I finished second Ironman Austria and got some money 6 months later, and I was a full-on pro. Later, sponsor contracts followed, and I made a living off it. I had a moderately successful pro career for a full 12 years, and I don't think I would change a thing. Okay, maybe one or two things.
Hey, James, you're being far too modest. He had a remarkable career, actually. Now, on to mine, and as James says, I came into this from a slightly different angle. Now, I actually started out as a swimmer. I always dreamed of being an Olympian, an Olympic swimmer, and I actually, as a youngster, was on quite a good track for that. I had some great results as a young swimmer, until, unfortunately, I got burnt out at quite a young age. I was overtrained, had a bit of time out, and when I came back into swimming, it just wasn't the same. I lost the love for it, and that's when I found triathlon. Now, I entered triathlon through the short course, or what was then called the ITU draft legal style of racing, and I had some great results quite early on, and found myself vying for World Championship, European Championship spots, alongside the likes of Alistair and Johnny Brownlee, which made things quite difficult. A lot of fun, but really quite difficult. Now with that, I actually found myself very quickly on what was called the World Class Programme. Now this is a programme that comes through the national governing body for Olympic sports, and it means that you're getting money, but essentially from the national lottery. And it meant that as a young athlete, I was getting money per month in my bank account, allowing me to pay for my rent, but also on top of that, I got access to some incredible services such as physio, massage. I had training camps paid for. I got some of my races paid for. So really quite incredible. And the whole idea of that is that they're trying to fund you to become the next world champion, Olympic champion. On top of that, also, I went and did things like the French Grand Prix racing, which many of us did, which again was a nice opportunity to earn some money, but also a lot of fun. Now, in 2012, my time in short course racing came to an end. My Olympic ambitions didn't quite come to fruition. I decided to actually just shift over to James's weird world of long course racing. Now, I then essentially became my own manager. It's my opportunity now to choose my races, but also find my own money, which is quite scary. So as James explains, it's then my opportunity to then go and find sponsors. I then was earning my money essentially through that sponsorship, but also my race winnings. And obviously with that, there comes a lot of financial pressure, not just in terms of day-to-day living, but also I want to get to races to be able to earn those results and earn that money, but I don't always have the money to be able to get to those. So actually to supplement my income, I did a little bit of work, initially some design work, and then also set up my own coaching business. So that helped give me a little bit of comfort, but then equally meant I wasn't a full-time athlete. So yeah, I eventually, having had some great results, my time came to an end because I just decided I'm probably not the next Jan Frodeno, but I had a lot of fun. Would I change things? Yes, I actually wish I took more risks and actually maybe pulled out the credit card from time to time and actually went after some of those races, cherry-picked some races that I really thought I could get results in because I genuinely believe I could have.
So are pros just good age groupers? How big is the gap in terms of times, powers, and performances?
Yeah, well, some pros are good age groupers. They've come through the age group ranks, they perhaps performed incredibly well. They maybe won their age group in Kona, whereas others perhaps have come through the elite junior ranks, like myself. Some have come from completely different sports, or others, like James, have jumped straight in to the pro ranks.
Yeah, how big is that jump? Well, it's bigger than most people anticipate. You see, the pro ranks are filled with pros who have been elites for years. They spent years training and recovering at an elite level. So they are good age groupers with a little bit more time to recover and a little bit more time to train, multiplied by years. And that leads to a big difference in performance.
Yeah, now these top pros will have spent years training at high volumes and really honing and optimizing their recovery between sessions. And on top of that, also really perfecting their strength, their flexibility, movement patterns, and also things around their day-to-day life in terms of their diet, stress levels, their sleep, so that they can really perform at the top level with the very best in the world.
Which brings us to our guest. Welcome, Steph Clutterbuck. Thanks for joining us today. We're going to talk about your journey as a pro. Okay. First question, do you know how big of a leap it is from age group to pro?
Yes, I think so.
I'm nervous here.
Yeah. So actually, as soon as I made the decision to turn pro, I knew that I needed to leave my job. So I'm 2 weeks into not having my job. The first thing I did was go on training camp, and it feels as though my life has just been completely flipped on its head, which is really exciting and I think needed to happen.
Yeah. Was that a holiday training camp or like you jumped straight into ridiculous hours?
It was quite an increase in volume, but
Yeah.
equally when you go into the sunshine, anything kind of feels a bit like a holiday.
But nice not to have to log into your computer and check work meetings and
It's
stuff.
so great. It's
Yeah.
like I don't have to go in and see I've had 100 emails come in overnight that need actioning by 9:30.
Yeah. Brilliant. You can just go for a long ride. Okay, let's rewind and explain how you came to this point, the start of your rookie year as a pro. You were selected for the Zwift Triathlon Academy last year.
Yes, I was, which was amazing and really
About as good as it
set
gets
me up.
for an age group.
I mean, it seriously is,
Yeah.
and it set me up for such an amazing season. And I had a brilliant result out in Vitoria-Gasteiz, coming. I won as an age grouper, but came fourth overall. Was 2 minutes off the pro podium, and it was actually at that race that I hit the standard to qualify for my pro license.
Okay.
but we still weren't sure.
Yeah.
Because the commitment I'd made to myself was turn pro when you're ready to turn pro. Went to Finland in August and won my age group, which was amazing. So 70.3 world champs.
70.3 world champs, yeah.
And then Kona was, as ever, an experience, but a good experience, I think, this year compared to the year before. It was an amazing season, and I knew by the end of it that I was ready. I was ready to take the leap into this year. Okay,
so you've taken the leap. Okay, let's just explain. I don't want to scare you, put you off. You've already done it, so it's probably too late, really, to put you off. But 70.3 world champs in Lati, good result for you, really good result. You did 4 hours 27. Taylor Knibb won that. She did 3 hours 53. She did a 24:44 swim, a 2:07 bike, and a 1:18 run for the 3 hour 53 finish time. Now, your swim is competitive. You were less than 90 seconds off that Taylor Knibb swim, and Taylor Knibb is fire when it comes to swimming. Your bike, though, was going to need to be 5 to 15 minutes faster. You run another 5 to 15 minutes faster. Basically, these are not 1 year improvements. So what is your timeline? As I say, not trying to put you off, but no one's going to knock 15 minutes off the half marathon PB in a year, are they? So what is your timeline? Is this, you have to make it this year, or is this a long-term commitment?
100% a long-term commitment.
Okay.
Like, this is my third go at being an athlete. I was a swimmer growing up. I then transitioned to rowing. So I understand the multi-year approach to development, and I wouldn't be doing this if it was a 1 year thing, because that's good. That doesn't make it the lifestyle that it needs to be. So I'm in it for the long haul. Okay, cool. Long process. It is going to be a long process. It's a journey, as we've said. Let's talk money, because obviously you can't just quit your job, not earn any money, and be a pro. You can't just live on dreams. They don't feed you. Ruth Astor put a video up. She's put a couple of videos out. Last 2022, she had a good year. She put a video out on YouTube, which you can go and watch. It's quite interesting. She talks about the earnings as a pro. In a good year in 2022, she earned £87,000 from her pro career, including $50,000 in prizes and bonuses. She spent $27,000 to actually make that happen. So the cost of doing business, flights and physios and various expenses as a pro. Last year, 2023, she had a bad year. Now, Ruth Astor's won a few Ironman. She's a bit further along her journey than you are. She earned £40,000, and her cost of doing business was £33,000 for a grand profit for the year from being a pro of £7,000. Again, not to put you off, but what is you obviously can't live on that. So what is your plan to make ends meet until you are at a level where you are getting a T100 contract and you're making actual money? Yeah, I think videos from athletes like Ruth really help when you're coming into the pro world. So you're not, the wool isn't pulled over your eyes. Yeah, it's not all dreams and fantasy. It's not all dreams, and like you say, you can't just walk into contracts. So I will be working. I think it's actually really important for me as a person anyway. I was a full-time rower in a past life, and it didn't suit me. So I need to have some sort of stimulation for my brain to keep me active. Too much time for that head to go wandering. Far too much time, and no one needs to see what's going on up there. So I will be working, and I've got a couple of things that I'm semi-related to triathlon, but more towards the kind of high-performance stuff that I love that I will be doing, and maybe picking up bits of coaching. But all of them are there to support me as an athlete. So the difference is, when I was working with triathlon, whereas now I'm triathlon and working to support it. Triathlon fits in the gaps, now work fits in the gaps. Yeah, hopefully. Cool. What about sponsors? Do you have any now, or are you approaching any? Have you signed anything? Is anyone supporting you this year? I actually have, which I didn't really expect in my first year. And again, coming off the Zwift Academy really, really helped. So I have a couple of them that have stayed on, which is amazing. Oh, nice. And two more that were really excited about the year ahead. So I feel like I'm going into the season better prepared than
Very good
I
start.
could imagine to be, yeah.
Yeah, very good start. Excellent. We're going to pause here, and Mark's going to explain the actual money situation in the world of triathlon in general.
Now, to give you some context, the money list from this previous year, the top 10 earners in the sport of triathlon averaged $247,000 with prize money and bonuses. Plus, on top of that, obviously, an undisclosed amount in terms of sponsorship earnings. You go down to 30th place, it drops pretty quickly down to under 100K. And then as we go below that, the drop is very steep.
All right, thanks for that, Mark. Back to Steph. So, Steph, what's so different about being a pro? You said you're prioritizing being a pro over work now instead of the other way around, but what actually changes in your day-to-day?
Yeah, it's a good question. So the first thing is I don't have to get up at 5 o'clock to go swimming. So I'm able to prioritize sleep and recovery a little bit more, so I can push things back a little bit later in my day. I can have adequate rest between sessions rather than trying to.
I was always one for getting up early, still doing the swim squad, and then going back to bed later on rather than not getting up.
Yeah, there are definitely days that still require a 5 a.m. get up.
Okay, yeah.
But when it's, so yesterday I did a Zwift race, which means that I slept badly last night, so I didn't have to get up at 5 o'clock. I could take the extra hour.
Yeah.
And then just throughout the day as well, being like, okay, no, I need to rest now, or I'm going to take half an hour to do my stretching, mobility, conditioning, rather than kind of getting up off the desk and immediately going out for a run, which, as we all know, is a bit of a recipe for disaster over time anyway.
And coaching, who's coaching you? Do you have a coach?
Yeah, Tim Don is coaching me. He's
Okay.
been coaching me for the last year, so this is another fun challenge that
Was
I
that another
presented with.
inherited from Zwift Academy thing?
Yeah,
Nice.
which is amazing. And he's been brilliant and has kind of fully embraced this next chapter of being an athlete.
Good.
And
He knows the stuff about being a pro, so
He
that's
does
good.
indeed.
Yeah, you're in good hands. Okay, let's talk your goals. And we've already said that you're not delusional about your first year as a pro, but what are your goals for the first year as a pro? For example, if you qualify for world champs, are you trying to qualify for world champs or?
Yeah, so not necessarily trying to qualify. I said last year that I wouldn't go to 70.3 worlds as an age grouper if I qualified, and then I ended up going. So kind of take
That
all
old
of this with a
chestnut.
pinch of salt. But I'm not trying to qualify, so I won't be chasing any races. And similarly with the Ironman Pro Series, I'm not chasing races, but I won't necessarily turn them down either. I want to do the right races at the right time for me, and
Okay.
I'd love to be on a stacked start list. I'd love to actually see where I line up against the best in the world.
Yep.
But I know that that's not necessarily the right thing to do every single race, because inevitably confidence takes a bit of a hit when you're repeatedly coming in 20th, and sometimes you just need to have a result where you place a little bit higher.
I can sympathise with that, both of those things, because in my first year as a pro, I said the same thing. I'm not going to Kona, I'm not ready to go to Kona, and then I qualified at Kona in my first year as a pro is 2009, so I went. I took my slot, I was like, I can't pass this up. And funny anecdote, going along the Queen K, blown my doors off a long time ago, and there was a helicopter right next to me, like filming me, like it was like hovering really low over the lava fields, and I was like, why are you filming? I'm not even in my aero position, I'm going so slowly. And then the girls came past, and another one, and another one, and another one. And yeah, it was a humbling experience. But I did exactly that. I said, I'm not going to go, and I'm not going to World Champs in my first year, and I went anyway. I didn't go back for 3 years after that, so yeah, I learnt my lesson. You learn these things as you go, as a pro. Okay, you said you might do Challenge Roth this year?
Yeah, Challenge Roth is on the cards, but another piece about being a new pro is the entry to races. You don't just get free entry to every single race that you want to. Yeah, it's not all handed to you on a plate. No. So for Ironman, you have to pay a fee at the start of the year.
Substantial fee.
Yeah, substantial fee. It's kind of about $1,200 plus a processing fee on the 1st of January, so that you can enter whatever race you want for the rest of the year. And then all of the other brands have their own entry requirements.
Yep.
And as a non-ranked pro, Challenge don't have to, I mean, not that they should ever have to, but they don't offer free entry unless the race director kind of makes the call. So currently, if I was to do Challenge Roth, I'd have to pay the entry fee, which is...
Full entry fee,
which is about €700, which is quite a lot for one race.
Yeah, it is. Although doing well at that race could put you on the rankings that you never have to pay for it ever again.
Ever
But yeah,
again.
it is a bit of a catch-22. You can't get on the rankings, so you do the races. You can't do the races until you can afford to pay for them. So
and it's an amazing. The reason I wanted to do it is it's an amazing race and it's a huge atmosphere. And if I'm saying no to a World Championships, I wanted kind of a big flagship race for the season.
Race for the season. Okay, well, we wish you luck. We'll be following closely, not just this season, but your whole career. We'll be very interested to see how it goes. We wish you all the best. Thanks for joining us and talking us through it. We'll check in soon on how that first year is going and the money and all of it. Enjoy the journey because it is enjoyable. It is terrifying. Was for me too, but it is a very exciting thing to be doing with your life. So good luck. Thanks for joining us again,
Thanks,
Steph.
James.
We'll see you at the races.
Yeah.
Thanks so much to Steph for joining us and giving us some insight into starting as a pro. Looking back on my career, I have to say I really loved it. I'm actually nostalgic for being a pro quite regularly, but I actually didn't enjoy it as much as I could have at the time. You see, there was a lot of pressure, both performance-wise, but also financially the whole time, and that definitely took some of the shine off my career. And I also, obviously couldn't retire on that money, so then you've got the afterwards, which I never probably thought about enough. Not that I ever thought I could retire on those earnings, but I didn't really appreciate restarting another career like 15 or 20 years behind all your peers. It's a hard pill to swallow.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same, and I wish someone at some point just told us to take a step back and appreciate what we are currently doing.
How awesome it is.
The amazing places we're traveling to, but equally I also had that financial worry constantly in my mind, and my biggest regret has definitely got to be the fact that I probably didn't take enough of a risk, and actually I'm left feeling like, did I ever really reach my full potential? Because I never fully invested, because I was always working really alongside that.
Yeah.
So that is my regret, but then equally I wouldn't change things. I have had a great time, and here we are at GTN having a fantastic time too. We're
all
carrying
roads
on.
led to here. Yeah, I mean, if you have the opportunity to have a crack at being a pro, we'd say definitely go for it. I mean, you might not work out, it might work out. Either way, you won't regret having a crack. I'm definitely glad I did and took the risk. I definitely enjoyed it. And yeah, like Mark says, it's led to GTN, so couldn't
Good
have
to see loads of people taking our advice now and living out of bike bags and the underground stations.
Yeah,
going, well, GTN told us we should throw everything at
Be
this."
realistic about what it takes. If you have enjoyed this video, hit that thumbs up button to support the channel. Don't forget to subscribe. And yeah, happy triathloning if you're going on the journey. Enjoy.